Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Tim with Misfit AI. Today, we're going to be walking through and installing SillyTavern. And what we're going to do with this is going to bounce heavily off of my Text-Gen-WebUI installation video. So if you haven't watched that installation video, I recommend you stop now, open up the description below, and it'll be the very first link. Go ahead and watch that so you get text generation WebUI set up. And you'll also have a basic understanding of what we're looking for whenever it comes to these models. Now, the first thing we want to do is, if you already have text generation WebUI installed, you're going to want to come to where you have it installed at. So for me, it's in my D drive. It's under Text-Gen AI, and then boom, here's our text generation WebUI. So we're going to go ahead and open it up, and we're going to come down to this text file called command flags. You're going to open up this text file, and then underneath this text right here, you're just going to hit enter, and you're going to enter --API, all lowercase. Now what this is going to do is this is going to activate the API flag within Text-Gen-WebUI, so we're able to hook up to our SillyTavern with the API connection. So essentially, to make that a brief understanding of how it works, essentially, we're only using our text generation WebUI to load the model, and then SillyTavern is taking care of the rest. Alright, so now, once we got that done, I want you to go ahead and launch your Text-Gen WebUI. And whenever you launch your Text-Gen WebUI, you're going to notice it's going to start up, instead of just having this local URL, now you're going to have this API right here. So, just keep that in mind because it's going to come into play whenever we get into the next portion. So, in order for us to install SillyTavern finally, we need to run something first called Node.js. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here and you're going to click this button. And you're going to start to download the Node.js application. And then you're going to run it. Now, while you're running it, and this part is very important, do not check any of the boxes during the installation. Alright, just hit next and install. If you check the box that says something about installing Chalky, I think is what it's called, you're going to end up downloading a new version of Python. That's the latest version of Python, which is going to be incompatible with most of the programs we're going to be running later on in this course. So, to avoid compromising your current 3.10 installation, if you installed my system setup video, then it's important you don't check anything and just continue with the install and hit next on each option, okay? So now, once we've done that, we need to install SillyTavern. So what we do, and I will be leaving this link in the description, but we're going to be skipping every step because we've already done most of them, okay? And we're going to go straight into step 2 of installing the launcher. You're going to come to this website and you're going to copy the git clone command. And then what you're going to do from there is you're going to open up the directory, and you're going to go to your Text-Gen AI folder, okay? And you're going to come over here and you're going to hit cmd, and then you're simply going to paste this into the command prompt, and then you're going to hit enter. Now, I already have it installed, so I'm not going to be doing that, but it's very straightforward. All you have to do is follow the instructions that pop up as you go. Just let the installer install. Shortly after that, another command prompt is going to pop up, and that's going to be your SillyTavern launcher, okay? And all it's going to be asking you is just if you want to go ahead and install SillyTavern, you're going to press 1 on your keyboard, and you're going to install SillyTavern. Then from there, it's going to bring you back to a different launcher screen, and it's just going to have a couple of options. One of them is going to be update and start SillyTavern. One of them is going to say start SillyTavern. And then there's going to be a few miscellaneous options, but we're not messing with those. All we want to do, it's going to be up to date to the latest version of the repository when we download SillyTavern. So all you're going to want to do is just hit the start option. And I believe that's number 2 on the keyboard. Maybe number 1. I'm pretty sure number 1 is to update and start, but whichever one is to just start, that's all you need to worry about. And then what's going to happen from there is SillyTavern is going to automatically open up to this page in your web browser. Now, once it's opened up to this page in your web browser, this is where we're going to be using our API key. So, we know that our API, let me go ahead and close this. We know our API is going to be this right here, right? So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to highlight this, and we're going to want to Control-C and copy it. And then we're going to want to come to this little plug looking thing right here, this little power outlet plug. And we're going to want to copy and paste that into our server URL. You're not going to put it up here in the key area. This is not something we have to worry about, right? So we just come over here and hit connect. Boom. Just like that. We're connected. And you'll know we're connected by the model. Now, and I forgot to say this, so I apologize. Before you hit connect, you're going to want to have a model loaded in your text generation UI. So you're just going to come over here, select whatever model you want to run, and you're going to press load. Okay? And then that model name will appear right here underneath this connection tab. And then what I like to do is I like to say auto connect to last server. That way, every single time you open up your SillyTavern, it's going to automatically connect to the server that we just set up. So now you have your SillyTavern connected and you're ready to go. So what do we do from here? Well, first thing I like to do is I want to set you up with a good default preset of SillyTavern settings, okay? So, and I will be leaving this in the link in the description as well. So the person who posts these, their name is Marinara Spaghetti. We're going to go to their page and it's going to look like this, okay? And whenever we look at the files, we see, they have a bunch of different parameters for, basic, chat completion, customized parameters. And what we're going to be interested for the most part is the customized tab, because this is where all the good shit is, okay? So what we do is say we want to go ahead and install this on our PC. Oh, well, Tim, how do we do that? All right, well, it's very simple. We just come right here and where this three buttons, the little three, I don't even know what you'd call this. It's just three dots going down. And you just hit clone repository, okay? And then you see this git command that's right here. So we just want to hit this button, and now we've copied that to our clipboard. And so now we go back, and I like to personally put it just right here and have it on a folder on its own. So I just go CMD, and then I paste. And now we just get cloned the SillyTavern settings. So now most of the models I use, especially for like D&D and roleplay and stuff like that, we're going to be using the drummers models for the most part. And the drummer, he really likes the I just call it the meth preset. But the preset he likes using the most is this right here, Methamere, however the fuck you say it. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, and just to be honest, I really don't give a shit at all what it's called. I just don't. I just know that it's a good-ass preset, and it works for most things I want to do. And it just makes it really easy for me to fine-tune the chat to how I want it to be, okay? So once we have this downloaded, we're going to go back over to SillyTavern, and we are going to click, it is this tab right here, the one with the big A on it. And then you see how we have this option called Master Import. So we're going to want to click this button, okay? And we are going to go to where we just installed the settings. So we're just going to go down, we're going to go to Customized, we're going to go to here, and then we're going to load the .json. Now, you see, this is why it's called a master import, because it's importing our instruct template, our context template, system prompt, and text completion preset. So we're going to go ahead and hit import. Now, whenever you do this, a key thing you're going to want to set up is you're going to want to make sure you're setting it up to the right context tokens. And to see this, all you have to do is just look at your text generation web UI, and you see where it says N_CTX. So this is your context length. So you see right here, it's 32,768. So we just copy it, and we make sure we paste it over, and then we go ahead and we save this to update the current preset. All right. And for me, I like to have streaming on as well. And this allows us to see the text as it comes in from our AI. Now, another thing we want to do, that way we're not, like sometimes the AI, it will cut itself off. Oh, another thing too, we have to enable the instruct mode. Do not forget to enable the instruct mode, because by default, even after you load up a preset, it's going to be turned off. Okay, make sure this is turned on. This is very important. But now, one option we want to make sure it's on, and usually it is on by default from loading this preset, but you want to make sure that this button that says trim incomplete sentences, we're going to want to make sure that this is turned on. Because what this is going to do is it's going to stop the AI from prematurely ending its generation in the middle of a sentence. And if you don't have this button checked, this is going to happen literally every time. So it's just very important that we go down here and we click trim incomplete sentences. Okay. Now, from here, we pretty much have everything set up the way we want. Now it's up to us to go places to find characters to download. And this is the part where it starts becoming more up to you, because I can't point you to or recommend you what characters to download, but I can tell you how we get them. So what you do is, say it's on a website, all right, and you just want to import it from the website. Then you use the URL of that website, and you click the import context from external URL, and then you just copy and paste it here, and you hit import. Now, if you've downloaded a character card that's usually in a PNG format, then what you can do is you can go to this button right here, and then you can import a character from the file. These are the ways we import characters into SillyTavern. All right. And then if you're looking to import world info, then we just come to this tab right here and we import our world information. All right. So now you have a basic understanding of what we're doing, and you have SillyTavern installed, and you get to play around and experiment it. And that's something where I feel like a lot of people get lost in this application, especially if they're a first-time user. Don't let it intimidate you. All right. You have the presets and the settings that we just installed from Marinara Spaghetti, and they're solid, and they're perfect to play around with. The whole point of this is playing around and learning what responses work for you and what you want to get out of whatever you're having a conversation about, okay? So don't be afraid to go around and play with this stuff. And the core points to play with whenever you're talking to a character, play with the temperature, all right? Anything from 1.2 down to 1 is all fair game. All right. And whenever you're adjusting the temperature, you may want to adjust the top P. Now, for me, I recommend you either leave it at 0.9 where it's at, or you take it and you put it up to 1. For my personal opinion, there's no in between there. It's either you're running it at 0.9 or you're running it at 1. And that's where my recommendations are, that I say you keep solid. All right. Because everything else is going to be fun for you to play with. And you can get whatever you want out of the role play, but just know this is going to be the most time-consuming part for most people. And this is where most people are going to be like, you know what, fuck this. And you know what? If that's you, that's okay. You can always come back. If you get burnt out and you're trying to test new things and you get aggravated, just stop. Just take a minute, take a break, and then whenever you're feeling creative again and you're wanting to, I don't know, like let's say write a short story, this is great for that. If you're wanting to give a personality to a character in your story, that for a book that you're writing, this is a perfect way to get different personalities, and then turning up and messing with the temperature. That's a great way to get a more unique response, to make your characters feel more realistic. Now, one thing I'll say about the model we're using, right, is if you look, we're currently using the Cydonia 22 billion parameter model. Now, for me, I personally prefer the Cydonia Magnum Merge model. The great part about this is it's very diverse, and it lets you get a multitude of different reactions out of characters. And this is great if you're writing a book. Like, if you're writing a book, SillyTavern is really the way I recommend you go, because you're going to get just such unique and compelling responses. And especially with these presets, it really is the difference between you talking to a character and you feel like you're talking to an AI that's acting like the character, versus you're talking to an AI that is the character. And that's the best way I can distinguish it. So now a bunch of you are going to be interested and be like, well, man, this is dope, but I really wish I could use it on my phone, like character AI or whatever. Okay. Okay. That's no problem. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So the first thing we're going to want to do, if we want to connect this to our phone, is we're going to come over here and we're going to look at the allowing remote connections tab. And we're going to want to create a file called whitelist.txt. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to open up our SillyTavern, and we are going to go to our D drive, and we are going to go to where our SillyTavern is installed. So we go to Launcher, SillyTavern, and then here we're going to create that whitelist.txt. So we're going to create new text document. Boom. There's our whitelist.txt. And then what we're going to do, just to make it stupid simple, and for me personally, this is just the easiest way to do it. That way you don't have to get stupid particular. Alright. Is you come over here and you hit copy. Alright. And then you come over and you hit paste. Now you just simply save. And now this is going to be in your files. And it's going to be there, and it's the IP addresses that the program is looking for whenever we launch it, once we set it to listen. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we have to make SillyTavern listen for this to work. So this is the general IP address range in which SillyTavern will accept remote connections. But what we need to do now is we need to set this listen command. So we need to go to the config.yml. So we're going to go ahead. We know we have this saved. I'm just going to hit it again just to be double checking it. And now we are going to go to the config. Look, there it was right there. Config.yml. And we're going to go ahead and open this in Notepad. And then what we're going to do to make this simple is we are just going to hit Control F to find, and we are just going to type in the word listen. And then it is going to take us to where it says the listen command. And boom, what do you know? Right there at the top, just 3 lines down. Alright, now we're going to change the false, and we're just going to simply type true. Now we're going to hit save. Now what we want to do is we want to close our SillyTavern. So we're going to go to the SillyTavern tab, and this is the SillyTavern command prompt right here, and we're just going to close it. And then we're also going to close our SillyTavern that's up here. Alright, now we need to relaunch the SillyTavern server, and we need to make sure that our listen command is working. So what we do is we come back to the SillyTavern directory, we go to the launcher. Actually, here's what we'll do. We'll just do SillyTavern launcher right here because we made a shortcut for it earlier. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hit start SillyTavern. Now, we're not looking for the listen command in the SillyTavern launcher. We're looking for this. Yep, there we go. See how it's asking us permission for Node.js. This is allowing Node.js to our firewall so we can connect with our remote connection from our phone. Okay, so now what we're doing is whenever we look, and we will look for where it says the listening command. So you see how it says right here, it says launching SillyTavern is listening on IP4 0.0.0.0.0800. Alright, so now what you need to do, and I'm not going to do this part because I'm not going to show off my IP address to people. So what you do next is you're going to go to a little website called whatismyipaddress.com. And what you're going to do is you're looking for the IP4 address. All right. So whenever here, and I don't have my VPN installed, otherwise I would take you there. But all you do is just go into the whatismyipaddress.com. And I'll make sure to leave the remote connections guide here as well, okay? But what you're looking for is, you see how it says the IP4 address right here? So whenever you're on whatismyipaddress.com, you're going to be looking for that same IP address, okay? Now, you see how it says right here, getting the IP address of the local machine. So this walks us through other ways we can pull up our IP address. But what you need to do is just go to whatismyipaddress.com, look up the IP4, and then on your phone's browser, okay, you just open it up, and in the address bar, you type in your address. So it will look something like this. All right, and so this is exactly how you would type it. You would do the HTTP : // then your IP address in this exact format. Do not do HTTPS. Use HTTP. All right. Now, congratulations. You just finished installing SillyTavern, and not only do you have it locally running on your machine, but now you're able to talk to your characters on your phone. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this tutorial. If you liked the video, like it. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. Maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. There's not going to be a one-click installer for SillyTavern because the developers have already set it up, and I think it would be disrespectful to them for us to do that. So we're not going to be making a one-click installer. The people behind these programs did a lot of effort. They deserve the original credit, and they already made it as easy as possible for you. So with that being said, my name is Tim. This is Misfit AI. Peace.